Good evening, and welcome to Cross Currents, where tonight we delve into a subject poised at the intersection of unprecedented scientific advancement and profound ethical contemplation. The prospect of ectogenesis, or the artificial womb. The question before us is not merely one of technological feasibility, but of its potential to redefine human reproduction as we know it. Should artificial wombs replace, or perhaps augment, traditional childbirth? This is a discussion laden with complexities, touching upon medical ethics, societal norms, and the very essence of human experience. To navigate this intricate terrain, we are joined by two distinguished guests: Dr. Kenji Tanaka, a leading biotechnologist and ethicist, who will articulate the potential benefits and advancements offered by this technology, and Ms. Sarah Chen, a prominent sociologist and author, who will voice significant ethical and societal concerns. We anticipate a robust and intellectually stimulating debate, aiming to illuminate the multifaceted implications of this emerging frontier. Let us begin.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes. The advent of viable ectogenesis, the development of a fetus outside the human body within an artificial womb, undeniably heralds a paradigm shift in reproductive medicine. It is a testament to human ingenuity and our relentless pursuit of solutions to some of the most challenging biological limitations. While the concept may initially seem startling, even verging on science fiction for some, its potential to alleviate suffering and expand human agency is truly immense. Consider, for instance, uterine factor infertility, a condition rendering countless individuals and couples unable to conceive or carry a pregnancy to term. Artificial wombs offer a direct and tangible solution, a beacon of hope where previously there might have been none. Furthermore, for women facing medical conditions where pregnancy poses a severe, even life-threatening risk, such as advanced cardiac disease or certain cancers, ectogenesis could provide a safe alternative to gestate their biological child without endangering their own health. The scourge of premature birth, with its attendant risks of neonatal mortality and long-term developmental challenges, could also be substantially mitigated. An artificial womb offers a meticulously controlled, optimized environment, potentially allowing fetuses to reach full term under ideal conditions, far surpassing the capabilities of current neonatal intensive care for the extremely premature. This isn't about supplanting nature arbitrarily. It's about intervening compassionately and scientifically where nature presents formidable, sometimes insurmountable, obstacles. Beyond these critical medical applications, we must also acknowledge the potential for enhanced reproductive equality. Ectogenesis could offer equitable pathways to biological parenthood for male same-sex couples, for transgender individuals, or for single men who wish to become fathers. It could also liberate women from the biological imperative of gestation, should they choose, allowing for greater personal and professional autonomy without forgoing the possibility of having children. This technology, if developed and implemented with stringent ethical oversight and a profound respect for human dignity, represents not a dystopian future, but a significant expansion of human reproductive freedom and well-being.
Dr. Hayes, Dr. Tanaka, thank you. While I readily acknowledge the astonishing scientific ingenuity behind the concept of ectogenesis, and I do not dismiss the potential alleviation of suffering in specific medical contexts Dr. Tanaka has outlined, I believe we must approach this technological horizon with profound caution and a deep sense of ethical humility. The discussion cannot be confined merely to scientific capability. It must encompass the far-reaching societal, psychological, and philosophical ramifications of decoupling gestation from the human body. My primary concern revolves around the potential commodification of human life and the instrumentalization of the gestation process. When we relegate the creation of life to an external technological apparatus, are we inadvertently diminishing the perceived value and sanctity of that life, reducing it to a product to be manufactured? The 9-month period of gestation is not merely a biological incubator function. It is a complex, interactive psychobiological process, fostering an intricate bond between mother and child. a bond shaped by shared hormonal landscapes, physical rhythms, and sensory experiences, the full significance of which we are still only beginning to understand. What are the psychological implications for a child gestated entirely ex utero, devoid of this maternal connection? What is the impact on maternal identity and the societal understanding of motherhood if the profound experience of carrying and birthing a child becomes optional or even, in some scenarios, discouraged? These are not trivial questions. They strike at the core of our human experience and familial structures. Furthermore, I harbor significant apprehension about the potential for ectogenesis to exacerbate existing social inequalities, creating a dystopian two-tiered system. Will natural childbirth become a luxury afforded only by the affluent, or a deliberate lifestyle choice for a select few, while others are subtly or overtly channeled towards artificial gestation for reasons of economic efficiency or societal pressure? The specter of eugenics, or the selection of desirable traits, also looms large when procreation becomes a technologically mediated process. We must ask ourselves, in our pursuit of solutions, are we inadvertently creating a host of new, more insidious problems?
Dr. Tanaka, Ms. Chen has eloquently articulated profound concerns regarding the commodification of life and the sanctity of the mother-child bond. How do you reconcile the undeniable medical benefits you've described with these deeply resonant ethical considerations? And critically, what about the long-term safety and holistic health outcomes for children gestated via ectogenesis? The unknowns here are considerable.
These are indeed critical ethical questions, Dr. Hayes, and they are central to the responsible development of ectogenesis. The concern about commodification is one we take extremely seriously. However, I would argue that ethical oversight, robust regulatory frameworks, and a societal commitment to valuing all life, irrespective of its origins, can mitigate this risk. We already navigate similar ethical terrain with other assisted reproductive technologies, such as IVF and surrogacy, which also involve external intervention in the procreative process. The key is not to shy away from technological advancement, but to guide it with wisdom and ethical diligence. Regarding safety, this is paramount. No ethical proponent of ectogenesis would advocate for its widespread adoption without exhaustive research demonstrating its safety and efficacy, ensuring outcomes at least equivalent if not superior to natural gestation in high-risk scenarios. Current childbirth, it must be acknowledged, is not without its own inherent risks for both mother and child, and for many, it is already a highly medicalized experience. Ectogenesis aims to provide a safer, more controlled alternative, where such risks are unacceptably high, or where natural gestation is impossible. The long-term health and psychological well-being of ectogenetically gestated children would, of course, be subject to rigorous longitudinal study.
While Dr. Tanaka speaks of rigorous oversight and longitudinal studies, the reality is we are venturing into uncharted territory with potentially irreversible consequences. Comparing ectogenesis to IVF, while superficially plausible, overlooks the sheer scale of difference. IVF assists conception, while ectogenesis seeks to replicate the entirety of gestation, a vastly more complex and intimate biological process. The unknowns regarding the long-term psychological and epigenetic impact on a child who has had no in utero maternal connection are immense. Can we truly replicate the subtle symphony of hormones, neurotransmitters, and maternal biofeedback that shape early development? Furthermore, this concept of safety equivalent to natural birth is a challenging benchmark. For whom? And who defines acceptable risk when we are discussing the very creation of human life? My fear is that the technological imperative, the drive to use a technology simply because it exists, could overshadow a more cautious, human-centered approach. The potential for genetic selection or enhancement, once the fetus is in an external, controllable environment, also becomes alarmingly more feasible, regardless of initial regulatory intentions. The slippery slope argument in this context is not mere fear-mongering. It is a legitimate concern grounded in historical precedents with other technologies.
Ms. Chen, you've touched upon the mother-child bond and the potential for profound societal shifts. Dr. Tanaka, from your perspective, how might the widespread availability of ectogenesis redefine our understanding of parenthood, family structures, and perhaps even the societal role of women, who have historically been uniquely central to gestation?
The gestational experience, Dr. Hayes, is not merely a 9-month waiting period. It is a deeply formative experience for many women, profoundly shaping their identity as mothers and fostering an unparalleled bond with their unborn child. The physical sensations, the hormonal shifts, the intuitive connection, these are integral to the fabric of early maternal attachment. To outsource this to a machine, however sophisticated, risks creating an emotional and psychological chasm, potentially leading to a sense of detachment or a medicalization of what has always been one of the most fundamentally human processes. Moreover, consider the societal implications. If gestation is no longer intrinsically linked to the female body, what does this mean for the societal valuation of motherhood and female reproductive capabilities? Could it, paradoxically, diminish the perceived importance of women in the procreative narrative? I fear a future where the burden of pregnancy is lifted, only to be replaced by a different kind of societal pressure and a loss of a unique aspect of female human experience that many cherish, despite its challenges.
Ms. Chen raises valid points about the significance of the gestational experience for many women, and I don't seek to diminish that. However, I believe bonding is a multifaceted, ongoing process that is not solely contingent upon biological gestation within the mother's body. Love, nurture, commitment, and consistent care are the true cornerstones of parental bonding, and these can be established and flourish regardless of how a child comes into the world. Adoptive parents, fathers, and parents through surrogacy demonstrate this every day. Ectogenesis could, in fact, allow for more involved and equitable parenthood from the very earliest stages for all parents. Imagine a scenario where both partners, or a single parent, can intimately monitor and even interact with the developing fetus in ways not currently possible. This could foster profound prenatal bonding for non-gestating parents. Furthermore, for those who desperately desire children but are unable to gestate due to infertility, medical risk, or for same-sex male couples, ectogenesis offers a pathway to biological parenthood that can profoundly strengthen families and fulfill deep-seated human desires. It's about expanding options, not devaluing existing ones.
A crucial dimension of this debate is equality and accessibility. Dr. Tanaka, you've positioned ectogenesis as a potential equalizer. Conversely, Ms. Chen, you've expressed fears that it could create new, insidious divides and even become a tool of coercion, subtly or overtly pressuring women away from traditional childbirth, perhaps for economic or professional reasons. How do we navigate these contrasting possibilities?
The principle of equitable access is fundamental to the ethical deployment of ectogenesis. The goal should be to make this technology available to all who medically require it or choose it for reasons of reproductive autonomy, irrespective of their socioeconomic status, gender identity, or sexual orientation. It is conceived as a tool to empower individuals by expanding their choices, not diminishing them, or imposing a new norm. Indeed, by offering an alternative to women who might otherwise face career penalties or health risks associated with pregnancy, ectogenesis can be a profoundly liberating force, enhancing genuine equality. The fear of coercion is understandable, but this is where robust legal and ethical frameworks, coupled with strong societal norms that value all forms of family creation, become paramount. We must ensure that natural childbirth remains a respected and supported option, and that no individual feels pressured to choose ectogenesis due to external factors like workplace demands or insufficient support for pregnant women and new mothers. The aim is to broaden the spectrum of choice, not to narrow it, or to create a hierarchy of reproductive methods.
Dr. Tanaka's vision of equitable access is laudable, but I remain deeply skeptical about its practical realization in a world already rife with socioeconomic disparities in healthcare. New, advanced medical technologies invariably debut with high costs, often accessible only to the privileged few, at least initially. Could ectogenesis become another marker of status, creating a, quote, bio-luxury divide? And who would bear the cost for widespread public access? These are complex logistical and economic questions that go beyond idealistic pronouncements. Regarding coercion, the pressures may not always be overt. Imagine a corporate environment where ectogenesis is subtly promoted as the quote, efficient option for female employees, minimizing career disruption. The societal expectation could shift, framing natural pregnancy as an indulgent or less choice. This indirect coercion can be far more insidious than outright mandates. Furthermore, if the state or insurers decide that ectogenesis is more, quote, cost-effective for certain high-risk pregnancies, will women retain genuine autonomy in their decision-making? The potential for systemic pressures to override individual choice is a significant concern that cannot be easily dismissed by promises of ethical frameworks alone. As we conclude this vital discussion, my position remains one of profound circumspection. While the allure of technological solutions to complex human problems is undeniable, we must not be blinded by scientific prowess to the potential erosion of fundamental aspects of our humanity. The prospect of ectogenesis, for all its purported benefits in specific, limited contexts, carries with it the significant risk of dehumanizing the sacred process of creating life, transforming it into a managed mechanical procedure, and potentially altering the parent-child bond in ways we cannot yet fathom. The long-term psychological, emotional, and societal consequences of raising a generation of children gestated in artificial environments are entirely unknown, constituting an unprecedented experiment on a societal scale. We must relentlessly question not only whether we can do something, but whether we should. What problems are we truly trying to solve? And at what potential cost to our collective understanding of family, connection, and human dignity? The specter of societal stratification, where access to such technology, or indeed the choice to use it, is dictated by wealth or societal pressure, is a deeply troubling one. Before we venture further down this path, we need far more than just scientific validation. We require extensive, inclusive global public debate, the establishment of exceptionally robust and preemptive international ethical guidelines, and regulatory frameworks that unequivocally prioritize human dignity, psychological well-being, and social equity above sheer technological capability or economic expediency. Our caution today will shape the humanity of tomorrow.
Thank you. It is clear that ectogenesis presents us with a complex tapestry of opportunity and challenge. However, I firmly believe that its potential for immense good, alleviating the profound suffering associated with infertility, preventing tragic outcomes from high-risk pregnancies, and offering new avenues for family creation, compels us to pursue its responsible development. This technology is not about replacing natural childbirth wholesale, but about offering a vital, life-affirming alternative when nature, biology, or circumstance presents insurmountable barriers or unacceptable risks. The ethical concerns raised by Ms. Chen and others are not to be dismissed. They are integral to this journey. They are the very guide rails that will ensure ectogenesis evolves in a manner that is safe, equitable, and aligned with human values. These are not insurmountable barriers, but challenges to be navigated with wisdom, foresight, extensive research, and ongoing, transparent societal dialogue. History teaches us that many transformative medical advancements, from organ transplantation to IVF, were initially met with similar apprehension, yet have gone on to improve countless lives. I envision a future where ectogenesis, meticulously regulated and ethically implemented, becomes one of several safe, respected, and accessible options for building families, enhancing human health, and expanding reproductive autonomy. This future is not one to be feared, but one to be carefully and thoughtfully constructed. The path forward requires continued rigorous scientific research, open and inclusive public discourse, and the development of adaptive, ethically sound governance structures. Let us embrace the challenge with both courage and caution.
And with that, we must draw this evening's discussion to a close. My sincere thanks to both Dr. Kenji Tanaka and Ms. Sarah Chen for their exceptionally insightful and thought-provoking contributions to this complex and often emotive topic. You have both articulated your perspectives with clarity and passion, illuminating the profound questions at stake. Tonight we've explored the delicate balance between the remarkable promise of biotechnological advancement in the form of artificial wombs and the significant ethical, societal, and deeply personal considerations that such technology invariably brings to the fore. It is clear that there are no easy answers, and the conversation around ectogenesis is one that will, and indeed must, continue as science progresses. We hope this debate has provided our audience with a richer understanding of the multifaceted issues involved, encouraging further reflection and dialogue. Thank you for joining us on Crosscurrents.